the chief of staff for President Obama is an old friend of mine and my husband's, and was in the White House when Bill was there, and he said, you know, never waste a good crisis.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Really, a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity. It isn't just a crisis.
The ultimate solution, the only thing that really lets us go back completely to normal and feel good about sitting in a stadium with lots of other people, is to create a vaccine and not just take care of our country, but take that vaccine out to the global population.
The semi-normal phase that you spoke of, that sounded like months and months of that. If a vaccine is still not until 2021, that's many, many months of this new normal.
That's right. It's almost certainly over a year.
This is going to be transformative. It is going to be transformative on a personal basis, on a social basis, on a systems basis. We're never going to be the same again. We're not going to forget what happened here. The fear that we have, the anxiety that we have, that's not just going to go away. When do we get back to normal? I don't think we get back to normal. I think we get back, or we get to a new normal.
Isolation may seem extreme. It's not in the world in which we live in today. And like I said, this is a new normal and we have to take it seriously.
People talk about a new normal, and I think that's a reality.
A lot of people are talking about a new normal that's going to happen going forward.
So the new normal is not here yet.
We talk about what the new normal will look like. As I said, normal it will not be.
Industry by industry, we have a new set of rules for how we're going to live in the new normal.
The more we know, and the better prepared we are to make the next set of decisions about how we productively, safely get back to what the new normal will look like.
These are the protocols that are going to be a part of our new normal. And so we've got to make sure that everyone has access to what they need to keep themselves, their businesses, and their customers safe.
These are important and meaningful first steps towards creating a new normal.
Now, I want to be honest with you folks. Things won't get back to normal until there's a vaccine and treatment for this disease. And even then, our new normal will not be the same as our old normal.
The new normal will be very different from the old normal we had grown used to.
We have a bridge to a vaccine that makes sure then we can get back to our life in the new normal as best we can.
Even as we move towards a normal, it's going to be a new normal.
We're going to be able to get our economy going again and get back to what may be a new normal.
Hey, this may be the new normal for a little bit, so let's be innovative. Let's think of ways to do it.
I've talked before about our ability to test and trace and how critical it is as we move from our stay-at-home order towards a new normal.
I think it's going to be critical for every state that wants to get open and back to something like a new normal to put some kind of mechanism like this in place.
It is an intimidating exercise. But I say, so what? Who cares that you've never done it? That's really irrelevant. It's what we have to do now. So figure out how to do it. Well, we have to put together a tracing army. Yes, okay, we put together armies before, never a tracing army, but we can put together people, we can organize, we can train, and we can do it.
We've launched this initiative in order to launch an army of volunteers to express themselves day in and day out as only Californians can, not only to meet this moment, but to prepare to meet subsequent moments, to organize a volunteer corps in a way that is much more deliberative than we have in the past.
And this is going to take a small army to do all this work. It's very labor intensive because we have today about 200 infections a day that we have to be able to trace all the people they met. So we have to get that army built up.
Now, to get the contact tracing program up and running a lot has to happen first, and hiring, training,
deploying and managing a small army of New Yorkers, as the governor said, is really the great challenge.
We need to be clear. Things are not going back exactly like they were before. Together, we will figure out how to build a new normal.
Like everybody else, I'm anxious to get North Carolina back to normal. But we have to be realistic for a while. There will be a new normal.
There will be a new normal, and we need to aim high.
And what we should all ready ourselves for is a new normal, no matter what is open or closed.
It's not going back to normal. It's what we're calling here the new normal.
There's still going to be a period of time where this new normal is going to have to persist.
Remember, this is the new normal for now.
A new normal, at times drastically different from the old normal, lies ahead. A new normal.
But cannot emphasize enough that we cannot let our guard down at this present time. Until we get a vaccine, which is a while off, this is going to be our new normal.
Miami-Dade County is putting together working groups on 2 initiatives to draw plans to be ready for a new normal and eventually to start up our economy again.
And I think that the facial coverings, that's going to be a new normal for our community.
But I predict that coming out of this, while we will be in a new normal of a world.
On the community side, again, we have to look at what after this means for us. I am convinced that we will not be back to normal ever again.
What I focus on is what the new normal will be.
OHSU is proud to partner with the state of Oregon, the Oregon Health Authority, and the OHSU-PSU School of Public Health on a plan to help get Oregon back to our new normal.
Fortunately, we've gotten used to this new normal the last few weeks, and it shouldn't pose a great challenge for most of us.
Let us all respect and care for each other by going forward into the new normal.
We will partner with the Greater Memphis Chamber to host the New Normal Virtual Summit.
And slowly but surely we are navigating our new normal here within our community and within our state.
Please consider others when you decide how to live in this new normal.
As we move forward, we're now assessing the transition from our EOC to our new normal of business operations within the city.
And we're hearing all these stories about businesses from across the state adapting their product lines, they're changing the way that they do business in order to thrive and survive in this new normal.
What we do know is as I mentioned earlier, there will be a new normal for some time, not just for Louisiana, not just for the United States, but really for the world.
We are thinking about step by step, that is important, step by step, going back to a new normal.
This will be the new normal until a vaccine is developed.
And so the new normal, for now and for a long time to come, is what we are facing the challenges of addressing.
It is a global effort, but it's also an effort that we need to do here together. Our new normal, the principles that I talked about yesterday, will apply to everybody.
That's going to be a new normal. There are some things that are going to have to continue for a long period of time, like social distancing and other pieces that become part of our new normal.
We are in a new normal, and we need to think differently.
We need to get back to normal. We need, in the new normal, I got to add.
I think the new normal is different to what it was before. That's why I deliberately use the phrase the new normal rather than business as usual.
The second phase will be different. We will need to adjust to a new normal where we as a society adapt to safe new ways to work, to travel, to interact, and to go about our daily lives.
Well, I think we've got to prepare for a new normal.
Our new normal is going to be an environment where we need everyone to be able to help us with contact tracing.
So on the 18th of May, Ireland begins to reopen and begins that journey to a new normal.
So a return to normal as we knew it is not on the cards in the near future, and it is really important that I am upfront with you right now about that. What we will be seeking to do is find a new normal.
The challenge before us is to transition to a new normal.
We zullen met elkaar moeten zoeken naar het nieuwe normaal in de 1,5 meter samenleving. Een samenleving die wat dat betreft anders zal zijn dan zoals we die recent gewend waren.
Social distancing, whether we like it or not, is now our new normal. It must be our new way of life.
At mayroon tayong mga tawag niyang new normal.
I'm essentially saying that we have to live with a new normal. We're going to have to learn to live with this virus.
If we are to reach a new normal, I think in many ways Sweden represents a future model of, if we wish to get back to a society in which we don't have lockdowns, then society may need to adapt for a medium or potentially a longer period of time.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
We'll need a truly global effort, because no one country and no one pharmaceutical company will be able to do this alone. The race to discover the vaccine to defeat this virus is not a competition between countries, but the most urgent shared endeavour of our lifetime.
Unless we find a vaccine, we will not be completely safe. And that is why discovering and proving the effectiveness of a vaccine is going to be one of the main challenges that we will face as humanity. But this in itself is not enough. A vaccine should be produced in sufficient quantities in the shortest possible time, but it should be available and affordable to the entire global population, starting with the most vulnerable ones, and needs to be distributed worldwide on an equitable basis. And no country or region should have a monopolistic access to the vaccine when it comes to infectious diseases. This was also mentioned by Melinda Gates. The safety of one is the safety of all.
COVID-19 has reminded us that viruses don't obey borders or customs laws. They don't care about what nationality you are. So long as COVID-19 is somewhere, COVID-19 can spread anywhere. So what will it take to end this pandemic? Well, it will take more than making a vaccine available to the very highest bidder. It's going to take more than delivering it only to people in wealthy nations. The pandemic won't end until people everywhere can be immunized against it, until everyone can benefit from the world's science, regardless of where they live.
World government is the structure necessary for global justice. You, sir, have been a lifelong advocate of this principle, and it is appropriate, therefore, that we present you with this amethyst shield.
First priority of humankind in this difficult era is to establish an effective system of world law that will assure peace with justice among the peoples of all the world. For many years, I did my best to report on the issues of the day with as much fairness as I possibly could, in objective a manner as possible to achieve. Now, however, my circumstances are considerably different. I'm in a position to speak my mind, and by God, I'm going to do it. Through a monumental educational and political effort, we will achieve a world of peace under a system of law where individual violators of that law are brought to justice. First, we Americans are going to have to yield up some of our sovereignty. That's going to be, to many, a bitter pill. It would take a lot of courage, a lot of faith, a lot of persuasion to them to come along with us on this necessity. Today we must develop federal structures on a global level. To deal with world problems, we need a system of enforceable world law, a democratic federal world government. Their leader, Pat Robertson, has written in a book a few years ago, he wrote, literally, any attempt to achieve world order before that time must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
Defeating a global pandemic demands a global partnership. The corona epidemic is far from over. At best, we're only at the end of the beginning. And like all countries, Israel is now trying to find the right balance between protecting the health of our citizens by preventing another spike in infections and enabling the reopening of our economy. But ultimately, to ensure both the public health and national prosperity, we must all work together on improving diagnostics, accelerating therapies, and ultimately developing a vaccine.
This pandemic knows no borders. Neither should our response.
Covid-19 aşısı tüm insanlığın ortak malı olmalıdır. Bu bakımdan üretilecek aşıya küresel erişimin garanti altına alınması.
Let us stand together at a distance and bring back a better future.
Life will be considered far from normal, and it is very unlikely that we can have a swift economic recovery until we find a vaccine.
There isn't a choice where you get to say to people, don't pay attention to this epidemic. Most people, they have older relatives, they're worried about getting sick. The idea of a normal economy is not there as a choice. About 80% of people are going to change their activities. If you get the other 20% to go along with that nationwide, then the disease numbers will flatten, hopefully in the next month, and start to go down, hopefully in the month after that. And then when they've gone down a lot, then in a tasteful way, using prioritized testing, you can start to reopen a lot of things like schools and work. Probably not sports events because the chance of mass spread there is quite large. Mm-hmm. And so to get back economically, taking the pain extremely now and telling those who wouldn't curb their activities, no, you must go along with the rest of society.